Hi, my name's Chad Byers. I'm with Symmetrical Investments, and I'm sitting down today with Marissa Fasciolo of BNY Mellon.
Thank you, Chad. What we would like to do today is talk about how we formed the Philadelphia chapter for the Alliance of Mergers and Acquisition Advisors. Chad, as you know, there's been a lot of interest in forming AM&AA chapters throughout the country. Can you walk me through how you started that process back in early 2014?
Certainly. So, as you may know, and if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in starting a chapter. Marissa and I, when we founded this chapter, we've had a lot of other questions about how we got started. So I think that's why we, first of all, wanted to put this video together. So in forming a chapter, what we wanted to do is first create a committee or a board. And the committee and or the board, we wanted to have at least 6 to 8 committee members. The reason we wanted to have 6 to 8 committee members is because we were looking for a certain amount of attendance. In choosing people for the board in Philadelphia, we wanted to choose folks that had a couple of common characteristics. We wanted folks that had a good sphere of influence within the merger and acquisition community, specifically folks that could bring at least 5 to 10 people to events. The AM&AA does a great job at headquarters of helping market the group, and they'll compile a list of all of the email addresses of all the people who have ever touched the association. But that's just one piece of our attendance. We wanted folks who would actually get people into the seats and come to the events, and people that would actually add value to the organization. The other thing we wanted is we wanted folks that would be willing to sponsor the events. In putting these events on, there's a cost to them. So if we looked at sponsorship, and we looked at getting people in the seats, and we looked at programming, that's really who we wanted to get together as a common core of a group.
Once you selected your committee members, what was the next step in kicking off the chapter?
Once we selected committee members, and this is a question that we get commonly is, well, what do we do to get started? So the first thing that we did to get started is we chose a date. We wanted to get a date on the books, and we did that about a quarter away, so we had a few months to start planning. And once you pick a date, you can then go pick a venue. And we need a venue, and we need a date, and once we had that, we went back to headquarters, and headquarters was able to put together a mailing that had a save the date. So we now have a time, we have a date, we have a location, and we didn't do any programming. We wanted to have a kickoff event to talk about what the AM&AA is, and that's how we got started.
And Chad, I recall that we divided up the responsibilities amongst our board members in terms of planning that event in more detail.
The hope in moving this forward is that by the time you're watching this video, you will have some sort of a handout to look at on the AM&AA website. I think there should be a document vault or a deal vault that would explain to you the steps that were required to move forward. What we really looked at in our group, which may be different than other groups, and this is something I think we're looking to formalize and put a process around, is we had certain responsibilities, such as we had
the administrative responsibilities, and then we also had content. So what message would we deliver in terms of content? What substantive information would attendees receive? And then also just the details of the food, the liquor, what sort of, what we were going to actually offer, what they were getting for that ticket price.
People want to know about content. What are you providing to them? We tried things from one angle as happy hour to get folks together, and there's been a lot of competition around that angle. And then we tried content and programming based around what the attendees were interested in. So something at the end of each event where it could ask folks what they're interested in. Maybe as a committee, you could come together with 5 or 10 options, and folks could kind of check off their top 3 or whatever it may be. So we did some surveying to determine content as well. So now we have location, we've got date, we've got content, we have someone manning the name tags, because the name tags are printed by someone on the committee. So for example, Marissa's group at BNY Mellon, one of her assistants has printed the name tags based upon who's signed up for the events, and is sitting at the desk to pass them out when folks came in. And that's one thing that we had a little bit of a snafu with, because if you don't have someone who's doing that, it's actually hard to pull together, or harder to pull together than you would think, specifically if there's no one at the table when folks are coming in.
And Chad, why don't you speak a little bit as to how we measure success at our events? What are the metrics that we apply?
So metrics that we apply, we're actually looking for folks to do business with each other. We, in our coming event, which we're in almost the end of 2015, in our Q4 event in Philadelphia, what we're going to have is a series of tombstones and successes from the folks that met at the events and or work with each other more so at the events. So we have actually dozens of transactions that have happened because of the folks that work together in our events. So, we look at attendance, we look at connections and communication, and we look to see if people are coming back. The AM&AA will track who attends the events, and what you can do over time is categorize this by the attendee and then by tracking the actual events and the dates. And then you can see who's coming back and see who's not coming back. And if folks are not coming back, they probably know someone on the committee, and the committee person that knows them or knows them best can reach out to them directly and ask them, why they're not coming back, or what would they like to see to come back and to do more. So it's a function of giving back and helping people that are associated with the merger and acquisition community.
Chad, can you describe some of the benefits of the AM&AA membership?
Certainly. So with the different deal advisors that are part of the AM&AA, they all have different benefits, but some of the member benefits that are associated with the AM&AA are available in a handout, which should also be in the deal room that we're putting together. There's different services here, anywhere from information and availability to information and discounts in those services to back-end services to sell-side investment bankers and private equity groups and the like. You'll see there's actually dozens of different benefits of being a member, from a member benefit or infinity program. In addition to that, it's actually connections to deal makers. So as a sell-side banker, for myself, I'm looking for different folks who are looking to invest in companies. So if we're taking companies to market, we want to know these folks, and we want to know them better than just sending an email. We want to know them to the extent of being able to send something to them and have a real conversation about it. If you look at what we did in Philadelphia, my real idea here was to bring in the folks from the outlining areas. We're sitting in Wilmington, Delaware right now. So in bringing in folks from Delaware to central Pennsylvania, Lancaster, and getting those folks committed to the Philadelphia community, which is where most of the capital is from a private equity perspective. So it is a real benefit to folks to have those personal connections. And in addition to that, to be part of the AM&AA and really look at promoting some of these benefits to the community as a whole.
Chad, can you talk to us about the types of attendees that attend the events?
We actually have tracked the types of attendees. So if you look at it from a percentage basis, and this is really what the objective is of the AM&A right now, is to have more deal folks. So investment bankers and intermediaries have been 29% of membership, and we find that there's that certain amount of folks that are coming to our events in our chapter as well. We've specifically been trying to solicit those folks from those outlining areas that have a lot of business opportunities, that it would be ideal for them to have better connections with other folks locally. My group has done a lot of transactions with folks around the country, where we should be probably doing more deals with folks locally. So investment bankers and intermediaries. The next highest, we've got accountants and other M&A related consultants, each at 15% apiece. We've got equity investors, and this could be mezzanine groups as well, which is also coming in just below that 15% mark. And then from there, we have wealth advisors, accountants, and attorneys rounding out the group as the top folks that are part of the membership that are attending our events.
Great. Okay. Chad, can you talk to us about the types of programming that have been offered at the chapter meetings?
There's been a number of different chapters, so each chapter is a little bit different. And I don't think we're trying to say that our chapter is better than any other chapter. We're just trying to help folks that want to start new chapters in other geographic territories. So some of the content that's been out there between 2013 and today, there's been a couple different events on valuation, valuation best practices, seller preparation, marketing a seller's business, transaction structuring, LOI, deal terms, things of that sort, financing and private capital markets updates, preparing the 180-day plan, which is kind of a pre-plan and a post-transaction integration plan. And there's been deal sourcing and business development events, and I know I've attended events in New York where they actually have a deal bash where people put together a large book of different executive summaries for opportunities that they're working on. And there was at least 100 people at that event that I went to, and everyone's name was listed in the back. And they actually went around the room and everyone said a brief 30 seconds about themselves with their number and who they were. And that allowed people to connect. I think that was really, really attractive as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Chad. I think this is helpful for all of the members to hear, and hopefully by listening to this interview, there will be more interest in developing chapters throughout the country.
Hopefully this is helpful to everyone here. We've received a lot of calls and emails about starting chapters, so we thought that we could head off this process by giving you some information online, and then certainly come back to us with any other additional questions and any of the other leaders of other chapters, because we're all more than willing to help each other out, and we really want to centralize the process and moving forward. So
yes, and headquarters is also a great resource as well.
Thank you for your time.